It's 1845 and there's a disease that's spreading rapidly across Ireland. It's called potato blight and it's quickly destroying this staple crop. Back then, about 1/3 of the entire population relied on potatoes as their food source. But now, without this, millions began to starve. At the time, Ireland was not an independent nation, but part of the United Kingdom. The British government therefore did offer some, albeit limited, famine relief. At first, they set up public work schemes. People were given food in return for work, like building roads or harbours. But these programs spread disease, weakened the healthy, and failed to reach the most vulnerable. In 1847, as the public works were costing lives, an official pleaded it would be better far to keep the poor in their wretched hovels and pay them for staying there, than ask them to expose themselves on the side of a mountain. The authorities listened, and the strategy shifted to directly providing food. Thousands of committees across the country were formed, which bought, cooked, and doled out rations. And largely it worked. Millions were fed, and deaths from the famine greatly reduced. But it wouldn't last. In August 1847, the food kitchens were almost all closed, and most British funding was withdrawn.
The worry of the government was, and this was built on a prejudice against these people, if you gave them food without making them suffer for it, you would simply perpetuate bad habits.
Now, all the starving people of Ireland could do was rely on the 130 workhouses across the country. They became massively overcrowded and disease spread rapidly. Deaths, once again, became commonplace. By the end of the famine, it had claimed roughly 1 million people. Due to death and people fleeing the country, the population fell by over 20% in just a few years. But could more have been done? There might have been another approach, which could have saved hundreds of thousands of lives.
It's not true that no relief was provided. A good deal of money was spent on relief in Ireland.
That's economic historian Cormac Ó Gráda.
But it was not spent in an optimal way.
Cormac wanted to know, could more lives have been saved if another approach had been taken? See, during the famine, about 1 million Irish people did actually manage to escape. They fled on ships like this, to places such as the United States and Canada.
Emigration was tragic for those who engaged in it. They left home for good. They were left because they had to go. But without emigration, the famine would undoubtedly have been much worse. Because 1 million or more people left, they were better off. It also meant that there was less pressure for resources on those who stayed.
But not everyone was so lucky, able to escape the famine in Ireland. See, the cost to get from Ireland all the way across the Atlantic to America was more than half a year's wages for an Irish farmer. As one parish priest wrote, the better classes were flying to America, leaving behind miserable beings, insufficiently provided for by the law. Cormac wanted to know, what if the British had actually funded the emigration of these people, too poor to escape themselves? After all, around £8 million had been spent on famine relief, 4.5 of which went to the ineffective public work scheme. If just half of this had been spent on emigration, it would have financed 200,000 people to emigrate, a lifeline not only for those who left, but also helping those who remained, freeing up food and resources in Ireland. But would these people have actually succeeded abroad had they emigrated? Cormac looked at a small number who'd received help to emigrate to New York. To see what happened to them, he used records for this place, which was set up in the city specifically to help Irish immigrants. And Cormac found a story of success.
Even though they arrive very poor, they make some headway. A lot of them progress to semi-skilled work, to petty capitalism, and so on.
And so, it seems a policy of funding emigration could have worked.
Shipping 100,000 or 200,000 out from the worst affected areas over a year or two would have been practicable. If the people who went to the slums of New York or anything to go by, the others also, I think, would have done fairly well.
Today, Ireland's population is still lower than 200 years ago, just before the famine hit. If only ideology hadn't trumped pragmatism, this graph might have looked very different, and many lives could have been saved. Thank you to Cormac Ó Gráda for his support as part of this project. Please watch further videos in our series delivered by Discover Economics and Cage Research Centre. Please visit our website and follow us on social media.